we don't have any specific topics for this video. It's going to be a bit freeform on purpose while we still have a few other topics, at least two in mind, which are slow-paced cultivation and life is actually long. So we'll work with those right away if we have time, because I'm starting right now anyways. Not wasting too much of that at the time. We'll see. Life is long, not short. There's a few people who have said in defense of life being long that we just waste it all, or we don't have to complain about life being short. I'm going to take it a step further than that. It is quite literally how you use that time. It is deliberately how you make the most of the time, whether it feels short or not. And I know that it seems daunting to have to think of it being limited, and whatever that means, fear of death, having to worry about, even in terms of things like the butterfly effect, which is the idea of having to choose one path instead of other paths in life in general. And even just the idea of life being unfair. And there's all these other things coming to play with it. There's not necessarily one so-called overtime of this will be the only problem that we'll ever have to have, and therefore, no. There's just, it may have interesting flavors of other fears, but there's nothing wrong with seeing the other subjective fears, other subjective goals, not just objective goals, because objective can sound like it's connotatively a goal, but as a definition, but that's his own context, but yeah, life is long, and I'll say this because it does depend on how you use it, but at the same time, even if you didn't feel like it was long, it was still gonna be there for you whether you used it in a certain way or not. So that's why I'll leave that for now. Also, slow-paced cultivation. So what is a slow pace? You're just taking your time. Again, you're making the most of it, but you're still going at your own pace. As per everyone having their own pace to go in time, you always have your own lane to swim in, and that's not something to be ashamed of. It's not even something to be so-called thinking that you're being selfish. No. Slow-paced cultivation is the idea that you are taking care of things in a slow manner, knowing that in the actual long run you'll have more compounding in that amount of time. In the long run, you'll be able to have more than if you went straight ahead to things that were rushing from a sort of a don't wait kind of perspective. Because don't wait can help a lot for some people, but not everybody, right? Because the idea of don't wait is like, don't procrastinate, don't be in your head all the time, yada yada yada. But like, or don't even worry about the risks that could or could not be more real than they need to be. But that's not the only thing to be worried about. Not even the thing you should be worrying about. But as far as slow-paced cultivation, you just basically make sure that you're taking your own steady pace and know that that's not the end of it. You can still get a lot more out of being patient with yourself, and because all good things do come to those who wait. Balance can be overkill. Freaking going full throttle or tabooing on certain other actions, 0% or 100%, and not balancing that even then. There doesn't have to be black and white even if it's 0% or 100%, because those are overkill polar extremes. Though there are a lot of things that don't have to be as sensible as anything else. Balance is not always key, but you can certainly find out for yourself. And one last thing I'll add in this video as a bonus, without taking too long to just sit here and meditate. Maybe I'll meditate at the end of the video, if that makes sense. We'll talk about wanting things when you finally know what your life is like being born. And I keep bantering on the idea of not understanding my existence. It's kind of a, not as much a philosophical woo thing that it is really like a, wow, I'm grateful for still looking young. I'm grateful for still being 26 and having opportunities as a true man and kid, and whatever that means. A grown adult who thinks he has youthfulness both in his attitude and in his spirit, and still has the manhood that he has right now, literally. Something like that. But wanting things when you know that you have that time to figure that out, and still realizing, in tandem with the last 2 points, being life being long and slow-paced cultivation. This is actually all following the same topic, and I didn't mean to. But it was still supposed to be peaceful and tranquil in that sense. You know, taking its time, being chill. In its own way. Wait or wake. The wanting of things when you know you finally had time to work them out, this is partially having to be thankful and grateful for the fact that I took my time with what was here and not worrying about what happened, good or bad, and then still working through with them over time. And so pushing through, being as stubborn as I am, pushing through the BS and making sure that I live with my life no matter what actually happened or did not happen in it, and good or bad way. And then seeing that it was all worth it in the end, and even going forward, because the top of the first mountain and even the next mountain to come is always the bottom of the next mountain thereafter. So when you climb a mountain, if it's your first mountain you think of, the top of that mountain is the bottom of the next, and the top of that next mountain is the bottom of another mountain. And that's my point here, is that enjoying the process may seem retarded. Sorry, enjoying the process may seem dumb and kind of like corny and uncomfortable and even inconceivably like weird. But if you are able to enjoy the process as best you can, even if it's not easy at first, you will find much more gratitude and joy when you finally do get the things you want, objective rewards, deeper truths, the things that seem very, very real, and having to know what you're actually doing with your life, even if you don't actually have to know what you're doing to get to that point. But many people who did want to have some form of planning, a little bit of planning before they take action, and then still grateful for whatever is actually there. See, I don't have to keep benching on this other thing about like being in my room or my house all the time, almost all the time, not really traveling physically elsewhere other than my job or my other stuff I do. But even people like me who find gratitude in just being where I am physically and even sentimentally in my head, spiritually, all that, emotionally, financially, romantically, whatever. The thing that comes to me is I know that there are things that are more real than I can understand right now. I know that there are things I haven't done yet that I could be doing that could be good for me. I know that there's a way to make things better, more than I even understand right now. And I know that there's a bigger world out there for me someday, if I shall get to it right away, or someday soon, or someday eventually. It's not that I don't know that there are things I don't actually know. I'm aware that there's more I could be learning, there's more I could be doing that I can realize right away. I'm not the know-it-all guy who thinks that he can humble himself even then and still not know any better about doing something better with his life. I know that too, without knowing everything else. I'm not trying to be stubborn in that regard. What I'm saying is that this life is very beautiful, even without having to use a set of going against so much of nihilism and going. I may be about that before a little bit. Going against some grain of even if there's tools and ways to make the most out of life, you don't have to, but it's not impossible either. And then you can still find ways to make things work, no matter how you're born or growing up or living your life, whether you think you're older or younger. Where if even age is a number, we don't have to be too stubborn or weird about that in any fashion, I guess. But the idea that you still have time to do what you want and you're never too old to do what you want. And the thing being that with wanting things, it's better to truly want than to already have. But you certainly will find answers to things you want and then more. This is coming in full circle with a lot of the videos I made before. Getting the answers to what you want in life and then some more. And more of what you want than you realized. As some of the people have said in famous quotes. There's more to this life than you will ever want to have to expect out of it being too long or short. Not getting what you want right away, not getting the common sense factors of what you knew ahead of time and you still got screwed over. That relatable, unique feeling. And unique, relatable if you grew up in a good family or maybe you had a good childhood in other ways and you still didn't know what to do with your life and you were harder on yourself for having that much power and control of yourself. I've had a few friends where they were harder on themselves than I was to myself, because I think for me, my excuse, I guess, was being too slow, but their excuse maybe in that regard was they were too hard on themselves because they had the opportunity to not mess up and they still did. And they were like, oh my gosh, this couldn't have happened. I might as well have been under accountable myself. I'm under accountable too. I was always not holding myself responsible for things I did or didn't do. And part of that was because I didn't know any better anyways. Even if I did, I would still overcomplicate or overstimulate how I did these things. So it's like a big gamut of that. I've ideally made this video 40 minutes, but I don't know if I can push out long. Not the timing's weird, not so much the time to do it, but we'll push for maybe 12 minutes. If I stop at 10, you're lucky. Nah, not lucky for not how much anymore. Actually, let's push for 16 minutes. If we go for 10 minutes, it's because I have to hurry up, but I don't know. Whatever, we'll do 16. 16 to 20, if we can. 16 to 20 minutes. What else would I talk about like that? We will meditate for the next 2 minutes, no more, no less. Here we go. Just say no. I know it was 9 minutes, so I love it. I'm only pulling my eyes up a little early because I know that overkill 3 minutes or more wouldn't be so bad, but now you know how I feel about making content without having to realize it right away after the video starts. Like, having to worry about, wait a minute, you'll do a 2-minute meditation in the middle of a video that doesn't even make sense at first and still has wasted my time after 2 minutes? How dare you, Otto? How dare you make 2 minutes of meditation be useful and regrettable at the same time? No. You keep talking right now. You keep being awesome right now. No. Okay, so last topic or last 2 topics. We'll just sit here looking at the camera for the first topic. That's you. Don't worry, I'm almost done. Screwing over, I guess. I'm still also buying myself time thinking about what's necessary. So 2 more topics. Okay, not just 3. Whatever. We'll do what we can. There are some really creepy utilities I can work with. There was a time I told my grade school therapist that if you think about the bottom of the bottles, how these are factory produced little dents in the bottom. It's not just the fact that you think about these things. It's the example you use them for. You talk about something like that, and it's like, wait, I don't even know what you're talking about. You talk about something like, I feel like my hand, the way I look at my hand at school or on my job, feels different from when looking at my hand at home or across the street doing a jog. And people are like, what the heck? It's not even just being controversial, like being controversial. It's just literally like you're talking about something that makes sense, but the utility of it being understood even then still doesn't have to be real. So there's layers to how this works. Like there's the communication layer, obviously. Then there's the intricacy level, which is how maybe deep or controversial it could be. So that includes some of the other social skills or attributes to some form of diplomacy or whatever that can also still connect closer intricately to communication, not just because own intricacy of controversy. So communication, controversy. Oh, behind communication is if they even notice you or even know you're there or exist. So the reality, the communication, the depths of the controversy or the philosophy, and then if they believe your message, and then if you actually make that message something that they will literally do something about. And so there's all those layers. They're not relevant to each other, but they still connect somehow. So and also the other thing is that like you don't have to. I talked about this in the last Deep Doc promotional content. You don't have to believe in the message you're promoting. Likewise, and contrary to that, you can still go against a message that you made up yourself. So the way that this works, I don't even have to explain that, guys. Like I have to explain at some point because I'm one of the only people who seems to talk about stuff like this. But I hope you can wrap that around your own self. Unwind that kind of idea over time. And for the last 3 minutes, not even applying an end card content this time around. The 16 to 20 minutes, right? So and you notice how I plan out these lengths of time, ending on the exact end of a minute, without even a second ahead. And then because I know YouTube adds in like 15 frames to a 30-second. Like they had like a slightly a majority of a second amount of frames in a second. So when YouTube embeds a video, it starts as an unimpromptu video. So it's never an invalid video, nor is it more than 2 seconds for no reason. So they always make it so that it actually ends up being a video, no matter how much you trolled them for some reason. So any like video that happens to be over a second or over almost 24 hours or 11 hours, and yeah, but I don't even know how they make the freaking over 24-hour videos. Like Jesus, that'd be doing Twitch day streams of service. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things like collaborations and maybe unstable peoples without calling them that. We'll be more polite than that, but when you do a collaboration, you're not supposed to get into it thinking, I'll finally find a way to see if what I'm doing in my own entire life has actually made sense or been proper or not, or even been beautiful. Because if I could do a collaboration and it looks like to the other person that I'm a weirdo, I failed in life. No. Don't even go into a collaboration with that expectation entirely. Like, I'm being serious. Like, do the collab because it'll be fun. Don't do it because it has an element of truth about what you're doing as a creator and as a human being. Don't do that, please. Trust me. It will help so much if you do collaborations that are actually meant to be fun. Even if you lose subscribers, even if you lose your identity a little bit for some thwarted reason, they'll be fun, and they don't have to be about being lonely. Because I'm not trying to like banter on the wrong things here or be a jerk or something like that. I'm just saying, like, do it for your own cause, as long as that cause seems to be not hurting other people and yourself. Oh my gosh, that universal theme thing, the thing with like, do what makes you happy as long as it doesn't hurt other people, and that there's no controversy in saying the devil's advocate of that, being that, oh, but if it doesn't hurt other people, then how do you know it's helping yourself? And that's a very cynical way of thinking. It could be a bit pessimistic. It's like, of course there's a way to do something civil and peaceful without hurting people that makes you happy, but it's like, but when you back up the contrary devil's advocate of that, it can sound scary and even forbidden. So you have to be careful how you say that. But even then, it's up to you to decide what's best for you, even if that's broken as a rule in itself. But the thing with collaborations is that you do indeed find out more about yourself than you find out about the other person. Deeper truth. As far as the birthday cake deeper truth that I won, the Phil Courage guy, that was pretty cool. Nikhil, I'll comment that video, it was pretty fun. That Captain Sinbad, from NoFap and the other film industry stuff. Oh, and Captain Sinbad even commented a little bit on Robin Willis, which surprised me a little bit, honestly. Let's talk a little bit about, so we're gonna talk about collaborations. Let's jump across the other topic, which was gonna be about like doing what makes you happy with other content. I probably already covered a tiny bit in the Deep Talks promo, but we'll talk a tiny bit about Lucky Star anime, about the Unihertz Titan that's over there, whatever, and we'll jumpstart the last minute on 20 for doing what makes you happy, even if it means that you do indeed sacrifice the professionality of knowing who you really are and not just what you could be doing with finances or expectations or whatever else. And those aren't even qualified away anyways. Even though qualifications themselves are kind of BS compared to like college and job or whatever. All that good stuff. The Lucky Star anime was pretty fun. I didn't finish it. I didn't go through much of it. The reason I get drawn to Lucky Star is because I actually like the idea of it being boring. Because my own life story, my own lifestyle as a whole, feels very much like its own form of entertainment. So the way I view actual supposed entertainment for anti-boredom reasons, or fictionally non-spiritual, or freaking non-bloated, or non-crazy, or non-sizzle, non-worrying about fiction being the expectations you don't have to have but still do about your friendships and whatever people have said about fiction and entertainment. That's what that last thumbnail was saying, basically, is that fiction is the entertainment as intent is to position. And what that literally means, even though I just went over the whole picture doing that, is that it's like everything's connected, but you don't have to know that within your own field. Your cursor, your mouse cursor of yourself is a radius around everything that encompasses your own experiences. Even if those are the only experiences you had, they connect if you encircle other environments and circumstances and surroundings. So, for example, if you're that cursor, you might not know what League of Legends is, or Donald Trump, or McDonald's, or McDonald's, or Mickey D's. All those are names for it. Oh my gosh. But you do know what it's like to work at a law firm, or you do know what it's like to work as a painter simultaneously as a law firm attorney. So you have these other experiences that you could see for yourself. You could certainly imagine, because from my experience, it was like being born was like having an explosion. This could be a bit of a Starseed Fossey or Starseed kind of spiritual thing. An explosion of seemingly universal objective experiences in one go as soon as you're born, and then everything collects as if you think you know everything. And it's not you trying to brag about that without knowing better. It's the feeling of being omniscient without worrying about what you don't know, even if you should know better, even if you're that humble to do so. But so yeah, Lucky Star was that feeling. It was that feeling of feeling in place with something that didn't have to be an anime. It didn't have to be a boring slice of life anime, or even a what they call a sitcom. Not necessarily Lucky Star, but the idea of it being that boring and still feeding my life with the boredom that I'm entertained by, because my own life is so entertaining that anything's boring is my own form of entertainment. The last 20 seconds I'll use on this video is why wanting something in spite of expectations is good. You do not want to have to worry about expectations by the cliche of it. More than that, however, when you want something when you feel young, or when you want something when you know that you have a chance to make it work for yourself in spite of what you made work before, you're ready to go.